This video will demonstrate how to set up CWirc to use pulse audio, the pulse audio equalizer, and the pulse audio equalizer will provide a way to provide an input that's separate so that you can send any audio from your CWkey or other CW keyboards right over to the Mumble input. And the Mumble output will not use this pulse audio equalizer LADSPA stream, but let's get you started on it here. First we got to get CWirc. If you use AOSS first, that's a lot lower latency than if you use PADSP. I'm just going to connect to the first server. It doesn't matter. We're going to disconnect as soon as it connects anyway. We're just interested in getting the CWirc plugin. And it takes a little while for that to crunch. Over here we have a list of programs that you'll need. Pulse Audio, PAVUCONTRol. That's very important. That's the one you see right here. The Pulse Equalizer. That's a program you can download from Synaptic Package Manager or through apt-get install. alsa-oss is important because that provides the alsa plugin so that you can get lower latency than if you use PADSP. So we used AOSS over here. So we're going to just connect, and now we're going to disconnect over here. Now we're going to bring up the plugin. So after having installed CWirc, it should show up as this buttons. In this user list buttons, make sure that's check marked so you can see it. And there it is. Now I have my paddles hooked to the serial port pins DTS, CTR, and DTR. So it's all working very well. And this is the plugin here. CWirc front end, and it's an alsa plugin, and we're using the equalizer because we already have it up and running. And this is what the equalizer looks like, and it's installed just like any other program. And there it is. It shows up in my menu. This is how I have the EQ set to provide a better sounding tone. The edges are pretty sharp on CWirc. I estimate around 1 to 2 milliseconds only, and you can get that up to 4 or 5 with this right here. And I'll show you the spectrum analysis of this towards the end. So the equalizer is on, and that shows up in here as this LADSPA plugin multiband EQ, and it's sending it to the sound card, the built-in audio analog stereo sound card. This loop back here is the microphone I'm using to make this video. Okay, so we want to set up CWirc, which is already here. You can also use this, but then it won't go to Mumble. And on the recording, we have Mumble listening to the monitor of that stream, that LADSPA plugin multiband EQ stream. And watch this VU meter when I Okay, so that's working just fine on this PAVUCONTRol. And on the playback for the Mumble output, you want to make sure, this is very important, that you use the built-in just right to the sound card and not to the LADSPA, or you'll get a feedback loop and it won't stop. And it starts squealing on you, because what comes in will go right back out to Mumble and back and forth and back and forth. And it'll just loop around here. So, but you can avoid that if you use the sound card without that stream, without the LADSPA stream. So Mumble's listening only to this stream, and it sends audio directly to the sound card through pulse audio volume control here. So let's take a look at Mumble and see what that looks like. We'll open up the microphone here, get the settings. Okay, so that looks good. Here's the output. Let's do a loopback test. Go to the server, hit apply. send a DIT. That second one is a return to my station from the server in California, and I'm located in Missouri. So that's very good, very low latency. Okay, so we did a loopback. So that's good. We've got the input. Again, we're using pulse audio, default, pulse audio, default. That's all you have to worry about there. We'll adjust everything else in the pulse audio volume control. Let's listen to pulse audio now. It's coming right into Mumble here. Going right to this sound card. Okay. So we have that going, and that's working well. That's pretty much it. That sets it up very nicely. What's really nice is this equalizer here provides a way, a separate stream, so that you can snag it for the Mumble input without getting a feedback loop, like if you would monitor stereo mix. Well, this is similar, except this is not on the same pathway that pulse audio uses. So when it's listening to this, it's only listening to things that are sent to this plugin, to this EQ, pulse audio EQ. And CWirc is doing that. It's going right to there. And that's why we're hearing it. So we're hearing it in low latency. Let's show you the that's the latency. This is from me tapping the pedal. That sharp strike at the beginning until I hear the tone is only, you read it down here, if you have this clicked in length, it's 48 milliseconds. And that's very reasonable. It's not near zero latency, but the latency is so minimal, it's very easy. You may not notice it at all as far as going from your normal way of keying to adapting to this slight delay here. So I found it doesn't bother me at all. So that's pretty good for pulse audio. And let's take a look at this one. There we go. Now when we use the equalizer, we get a much better spectrum. Before this, you have all kinds of low frequencies popping in and some high harmonics and stuff. It's not super unpleasant, but I find this a lot better just by using this equalizer here. And the waveform is very nicely shaped, as you can see. It has a rise time. Let's take this over a bit. And let's just estimate it from the start to the highest point. And we're getting about 5 milliseconds there. So not too bad. And you can make this tighter if you wanted to. But that's what's pleasant for my ears. So that's what it sounds like to my sound card. Now on Mumble, that was this first one we set up here. That's what it sounds like to anybody else. So Mumble gets it like this. So it doesn't really receive that same audio. So if we go from here to the highest point, I got about 2 milliseconds. And that's a nice sine wave to begin with. And as you can see, that's not too shabby anyway. So it's pretty pleasant. But it's very convenient to be able to use this equalizer as a separate audio stream so that Mumble just listens to what's on this stream through this plugin, this LADSPA plugin. This LADSPA stream right here. Okay. This is what I use to create a loopback, so I can use this USB microphone and send it to the sound card so I can hear it myself and the video program can hear it. As you see, my voice is activating the VU meters here. So if you wanted to bring in a keyboard, we could do that too. You just need to make sure that it's using the same. Set it up here. Configure. It's using pulse audio. There we go. And let's scroll down and find it. So it's using the LADSPA. And let's test it. Okay, that sounds fine. Because it's using the LADSPA stream, where the EQ, that pulse audio EQ that we set, FL-Digi is also going through this EQ before it goes to my sound card. But because it goes through that LADSPA stream, it's being picked up on Mumble too. So if you watch up here, you'll see it come out Mumble's VU meter right on top of the FL-Digi header there. Okay, so that's good. So you can have both keyboard and paddles at the same time. I think that's pretty much it. You just have to make sure that you have these prerequisites before you get started, or it'll be very frustrating. But this one right here is easily downloaded in most package managers. If you probably already have Pulse Audio, it's one of the more common things that come with your installation on Linux. You probably don't have this one, so you'll have to snag it. You'll have to snag this one. Probably don't have Mumble, but you can snag it. And xchat, you may already have that one. Of course, if you want to use a serial port, you either have to have one or use a USB to serial port adapter, and then you have to register that. There'll be something in the show notes so that you can start it, so that you can do that on Linux, and then this will pick it up. This is what I have to use for the serial device, the identification on CWirc. So I'm using a USB to serial port adapter, and that's how you identify it once it's been registered in your distro. There's that comes default, so you don't have to mess with that. But you do have to change this if you have a USB to serial port adapter. And I'm using the sound card. You could also use the mouse if you wanted to. One of the other videos on this uses the mouse. Let's take a look at that, and I'll show you. And it doesn't matter if this is lit or not. I like to put it on side tone. But since we're not sending to CW, we're not sending to IRC, you don't have to worry about it. Keyer settings, so that's my keyer settings, what I'm using. I'm going to go back to real key here. Test. Okay, it's all pretty good. So it's a little bit of work, but it's not. It's mostly just kind of following the guidelines here and making sure you have these programs. And you should be able to do this too. And it's just a very easy way to, in Linux, to get paddles working using CWirc, and then adding a keyboard like FL-Digi. Thanks for watching.